Assalamu alaikum. Ciao, konnichiwa, bonjour, hola. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Ken at 10 on a Monday morning. Well, it's the end of the month. It's not pinch punch yet, is it? That's tomorrow for White Rabbits for the first day of March. But it is heading towards the springtime, which is a really exciting time for us in agency, as many of you will know. By the way, if you just joined us, welcome. This is Ken at 10. Because I'm Ken, it's 10. We're James Alexander Estate Agents, and we broadcast daily about all things property and topical, including Ukraine and everything else, really, but mostly about property. So welcome. If it's your first time, please do like and share. That's how we get the name around. And how are you? I hope you're well. Hope you had a great weekend. I certainly did. It was lovely to see the spring flowers up. Went out for a run yesterday, and just seeing the spring flowers, people out and about walking, was great. But in the back of your mind, you can't help have the families of Ukraine that have been decimated by this war, can you? And it's been absolutely shocking. And I think it's the most shocking thing that I've seen in my lifetime, and very, very frustrating indeed. But do the Russians love their children too? I'd guess they do. And I don't think that the nuclear option will be a button push at all. I think it's just rhetoric. And also, I think that Putin stands alone. The only thing is, a man like that, with a mind like that, what's he thinking? It's hard to know, isn't it? But Zelensky, wow, what a man. Do you know, one of the things that hasn't been picked up in the media is that he tweeted to Elon Musk and asked him to reposition Starlink satellites over Ukraine so that they could have internet, which has been blocked by the Russian military. And of course, I think this is a really significant thing. And I'll tell you why. Because the Russian soldiers that are landing there don't even know what's going on. Remember, they're all locked down in their own little world. Once they see what the rest of the world's doing and how this is all playing out in the real world, I think they might have a different attitude, and you might well find that there's some sort of rebellion within the Russian forces. So that's something that'd be really interesting to see. But fair play to Elon Musk repositioning those satellites. Hopefully it will at the very least, give the Ukrainian people hope, and at best, perhaps, deter some of those Russian soldiers from continuing with this awful war. So apart from that, back into property. March, busiest month of the year, really exciting time if you're in property, because it's when all the new instructions come up. Second busiest month is April. So really, really critical time for any agents right now, making sure that their vendors' properties are prepared, that anything coming up is ready to go on the market as soon as possible after that deadline. And we're always excited this time of year. The weather gets a little bit milder. The people come out, they start to view, everything looks better in the sunshine. So really exciting time, and looking forward to the start of March. We're already getting evaluations coming in, and we always find that March is a really busy time for those. So let's look into some of the news headlines now. First of all, the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea in London is planning to ban multimillionaires from combining properties to create mega mansions. I wonder whether this legislation is coming out, this rhetoric is coming out because of the oligarchs and their building. Under proposed new planning rules, homeowners will not be able to knock down walls or build tunnels between separate properties. Councils fear the habit of purchasing adjoining or adjacent buildings to knock through into luxury mansions is reducing the housing supply in the most unaffordable areas of the country. Well, of course it is. The council said that a high number of conservation areas and listed buildings make it difficult to find space to buy new homes in the borough. Neighbours have been flooding the courts with lockdown disputes. I suppose we shouldn't really be surprised by this, should we? But apparently lawyers reporting a surge in residents with challenging neighbours and builders. They say the rise to the increased amount of time residents have spent at home is relevant to that. And renovations and extensions have also boomed. Noise complaints, spats over rights of way. It said the firm has reported a 30% spike in property disputes since the pandemic began. More and more people have legal expenses covered with their household insurance, and they're not afraid to make a claim under it, he added. Well, if you do make a claim under it and you're moving, you do have to disclose that. So, you may well put off, you can be in a situation where you resolve the dispute through legal means, but you make people feel uncomfortable when they go to buy your house, and you have to disclose all these things. So that's another side to these things. One of the questions we always ask, have you had any disputes? Because that's something we would have to disclose to buyers. Property owners will be forced to declare identity. This week, Boris Johnson will unveil legislation to tackle dirty money in the UK property market. They say that it will stop foreign owners laundering their money in UK property. But honestly, already the money laundering, anti-money laundering rules are quite stringent, and we do spend a lot of our time checking and double checking the identities of people and the source of their monies. Of course, here in the outside of London, we don't really get any oligarchs, so it's unlikely that we come across any, but still, We have to do our due diligence and make sure everything's checked. And if there's any sort of problem, we do enhanced due diligence. And this actually does take much longer than it ever did. They're saying that entities that do not declare their beneficial owners will face restrictions on selling their property, and those who break the rules could face up to 5 years in prison. The register of overseas entities will apply retrospectively to property bought by overseas owners up to 20 years ago in England and Wales. This is interesting because it will make more of these shell companies have to declare who is beneath them. So interested to see how that one pans out. Home buyers have been chased by the HMRC and threatened with debt collectors because the country's largest conveyancer failed to pay their stamp duty on time. Can you imagine? You know, there you are thinking you've paid the money because it's been deducted from your sale, and your conveyancer hasn't paid that money on to the HMRC. They say they're sorting it out. The company involved, who are they? A company called the Simplify Group, and they've received letters demanding payment on outstanding tax for purchases completed months ago. Apparently, it was hit by a cyber outage in November, which halted exchanges and completions. Well, they're not having a good time of it, are they? So, as far as people are moving, what they're doing, the pandemic is still having its impact on the property market. You know, just speaking to someone literally just now who's moving out to the countryside, and that's partly a pandemic inspired move. And more people are starting to think now is the time to move. On the one hand, on the other hand, of course, we've got prevarication because of what's going on in Ukraine and what this means for the world, together with rising interest rates. So really interesting year this year in terms of what will happen next. I have a horrible suspicion that one thing that I always find when you have extreme situations is that there's an old saying, when in doubt, do nout. And I have fear that a lot of people will be thinking, you know, let's not bother, let's hold on and wait until this whole thing blows over. And it may not blow over anytime soon. So that's frustrating, but we'll see where it leads. But have to stand firmly behind Zelensky and his incredibly brave band of people out there in Ukraine, and all the support we can get to them, more support we can get to them, the better. The Polish community have been incredible too. I mean, when you see how they've been welcoming people at the border saying, I can take 3, I can take 5. And you know, there's a Polish place in Balham, and they've been collecting together for donations, and the place is absolutely buzzing. And then they're driving these things straight over to help the needy right out in Ukraine. So it's incredible how the world's pulled together over this one. And it's great to see. And hopefully Ukraine will start to see the benefit of that very soon. And well, let's hope these negotiations go well. But I don't think you can negotiate with a madman. And that's what I think he is. But we'll see. Anyway, hope you're well. Looking forward to the beginning of the month tomorrow, and a busy week ahead. So stay safe, look after yourselves and your family and friends if you can. And we'll be back at the same time tomorrow with another edition. Until then, ciao.